presentation is a little bit different. I will analyze inflation. Okay? And particularly the causes of inflation. Okay, we have inflation, the economy is in shambles, affects corporations, profits, organizations. Okay, so hopefully inflation will be solved. Now, what is the cause of inflation? Well, traditionally, a lot of say, economists in the United States point out that even throughout the world, that the inflation was the cause of the Ukraine war. Okay? All Ukraine was the war. It started here. And then we had others who blame corporations, greedy corporations, profits, okay, particularly in oil. Okay, then supply chains. Okay, we have supply chains problems, supply chain, we have inflation. But the major problem with inflation is with Washington. And Washington is the culprit of inflation. Okay, okay? So money printing. Okay, so here's my presentation. And by the way, I've noticed the logo of Oxford, that's in Latin. Okay, where before, by the way, Latin was the language of Oxford. Okay, and Latin, of course, was brought here by the Romans in UK. Here is the verse from the Bible. Okay, the Lord is my life. Okay. No free lunch. Okay, no free lunch uses often. Okay, this is a Latin word. Okay, no non-Francian lunch gratis free. Okay, so anytime we get an action, we get a reaction. Okay. Now we have inflation. What is the cause, basic cause of inflation? It was monetary policy. I will show you money. And I will try to analyze some inflation dynamics, measurements, okay, measurements in inflation. That's a problem, okay? And there's a solution. There's a solution for inflation. Okay, yes, there is a solution. Okay, it's whether the politicians they don't want it. They don't want inflation. Okay, why? Because if you have money, that's easy money. Okay, you pay back. Cheap, you borrow very expensive money, you pay back with cheap money, so it's the only interest you have in inflation. You have Milton Friedman, famous economist. Inflation is always and every way a monetary phenomenon. When the government, the Fed in this case, prints too much money, money printing causes inflation. You can see this throughout the world, throughout the history. In Germany, in the 1920s, in the Republic, they printed too much money, and then Nazi came to power. South America printed money. So throughout the history, we have inflation because of too much money. Now we have the pandemic here in the United States, where GDP was negative 32%. The worst in history. The worst since even though the Great Depression GDP declined by 33%, only declined by 25%. Unemployment is all-time high, 14.7. Here is a tough policy by Jerome Powell, and the head of the Central Bank of the United States. And he came out in June 2020, and he's thinking about thinking. That's interesting. Okay, I'm increasing interest rates. Okay, so interest rates stay the same. And then in March, the inflation was trying to increase up. And they always says, don't worry about inflation, it's transitory. It will go away, so don't worry about inflation. But inflation was picking up. Okay. Now the problem with inflation is that you don't want to get the way the gene out of the bottle. Okay? That means once you start inflation is a problem. Okay? And that's exactly what happened. Inflation started to edge up. And then it came out, he's trying to cover inflation, try to rationalize inflation. It's a symmetrical inflation. I was trying to understand what is symmetrical inflation. What is? Oh, we have to make up. We have to make up the loss of inflation we had in the past. All right. Now, a lot of central banks are doing this. Take a look at the inflation rate in Japan. Right now, the Japanese inflation rate is 3.5%. They did everything possible to increase inflation. Okay, central bank in Japan, we don't have enough inflation. Why? But our policy is 2%, keeping interest rates negative to increase inflation. Okay, and so pretty soon they will find out inflation will be so high, and they're a big problem. Now, here is the objectives of the Fed. The Fed being the Central Bank of the United States, price stability, 2% price stability. That's the objective right now, 2%. So what? Okay, right now inflation is various ways to measure inflation. Right now is running for 3%, 4%, 4.5%, depending how you measure. The goal is 2%. Well, to achieve 2% in the last 4 years, only 5-6 years they have achieved 2%. Okay, so to achieve 2%, it has to be lucky, and it has to be very lucky to be generated or low unemployment. Okay? Now, he wants to scores. He thinks that inflation is caused by low unemployment. Well, we need to increase unemployment. This guy is the central bank. If you have inflation, you don't have enough goods, right? So you want people to produce more, right? To bring down the price. You don't want more people unemployed. And it states very clearly. The drug policy states very clearly we have to increase unemployment. I totally don't understand this. Okay? We want people to work. People work, produce. More lower prices. Okay, so that's the goal here. Okay? Here is inflation rate throughout the last 60 years or so in the United States. Okay? And you can see the 2020 has increased over 9%. And this is the history of inflation rate in the United States. For the 1980s, we have inflation rate over 15%. And then, of course, we had the war, inflation rate of the war. But mind you, inflation rate today of 9% is not the same as inflation rate of 1980. Why? Because they changed the indexes. Okay? We are comparing, for instance, oranges and apples. Okay? Once you change the index, okay, so you want to have a lower inflation rate, lower inflation. So we play around with the indexes. And if I have time, I will show you this the index and how it is measured. Okay? Here. Einstein was right. Time is relative what we do. Okay. This is inflation rate since June. Powell says there is another transitory. Yeah, transitory was going up every year throughout the rest of the year. And by the time you recognize it was too high. Okay. Here is the inflation rate. Yes, it's coming down. Yeah, but don't mind you, inflation is a huge monster. Once it comes on, it's very difficult, impossible. Okay, look, the price of oil. Okay, what the puts in the oil price, and oil prices are increasing. And on Thursday, we will get the consumer price index in the United States. Right, so the price of oil is increasing, inflation will increase. Here is the inflation rate. Yes, it's coming down, but so is the price of oil is coming down. So once we have increasing the price of oil, inflation will be higher. Now, how do we measure inflation? Well, we have the CPI, right now is about 3%. In England is 6.9% inflation rate. Okay, so it's still audited everything possible. Have all the central banks. We want inflation. Yeah, yeah. The price of computers go down, price of solid phones go down. Oh my God, price are going down. That's technical. Well, that's good. They help the consumers, right? Then we have the producer price index. That's in the production process. The core, okay, the core excludes food and energy. Okay, that's another way to measure inflation. We have they bring up the super core. There's so many ways to measure inflation, and that's without housing. Okay, and the personal consumption expenditure. That's the we have all these measurements, and it depends. Unions, they want a high inflation rate because they want higher increase in their salaries, right? Companies and government want a lower inflation rate, so they're going to have to increase their focus. Okay, we have the consumer price index and the core. Why is the core is very volatile? Well, the core looks like more volatile than the other. Okay. Right? This is the CPI in blue of the core, and you see the core is volatile. One down.
Okay, no.
Couple more minutes.
Yes.
Precious minutes. Okay. Okay. Now we have this great recession in 2008. Okay. By the way, it's not in the United States. Okay. All right. And then we have the dot-com bubble. It's not in the United States. So we have the third millennium, two of the great recessions starting in the United States. Okay. And just the recession, depression in developing countries, okay, Thailand, Mexico, South America. Now it's fascinating. These two, the worst Great Depression since 1929. Now it's interesting that in 1919 we had the Spanish flu, then the Spanish pandemic. Okay, that killed over 50 million people. And prices went up. 1919 in the United States, prices went up. Okay. And the Federal Reserve System was prohibited from buying government debt. But since we had the war and the pandemic, they started printing money to buy government bonds. Okay. So, and they bought 60%. So you're the one they became 20s, right? Years, beautiful years. Everybody was making money, stock market was going higher, parties all over the place, right? Well, why? Because money supply went up by 60%. Only 60%. And we had the Great Depression. Today, the money supply has increased by 800%. 800%. Can you imagine the damage we will do? Okay. All right. I figure we're going to get a huge question. And with all this money printing and Wall Street, and look what's happening to the banks. The banks are already in trouble. Okay. Why not get interest rates? Okay. And now interest rates are increasing, and banks, because why they invested in 2.5% bonds, inflation rate is 4 or 5%. You want to take their money out. They want to keep their money in the bank at 2%, 4%. Take the money out, the banks are in trouble. And it's not only more banks, more banks are in trouble. Okay? So here comes Ben Bernanke in 2007, and he says, we have this quantitative easy. Beautiful. We can print money. No damage, no worry, everything is okay. Certainly you heard about Q1 quantitative easing, Q2 and Q3 trillions of dollars were being printed, okay? But not only the United States, throughout the world, even the Bank of England, okay? And then, they tried to decrease the money supply, and it was becoming chaotic, going back to the old ways, right? So here, so once you print money, it says, no, Bernanke says, no, you have money, it can go back. Once we print it, we will go back. Yeah. Once you print money, it's like toothpaste. Once you take out the toothpaste on the bottom, how are you going to bring it back? So look at this, we have less than $1 trillion. We reach $4.5 trillion. Okay, 2015. So it was trying to diminish. Impossible. The stock market was collapsed. Wall Street was collapsed. Impossible. So no, it says, no, let's go back. Let's go back. And then of course we had COVID, okay, and we doubled from 4 trillion to 8 trillion. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if we get another stock market bubble. We could go from 8 trillion to 16 trillion. And this is madness. And then the Bernanke wealth effect. What is the wealth effect? Well, the stock market goes up, people are wealthier, they make more money, they spend, everybody does well. Europe. And you want the Nobel Prize for this. Even the Nobel Prize. But wait a minute, Frank, wait a minute. If you go interest rate and we have a wealth effect, what about if you increase the interest rates? What is going to happen? Okay, people lose money, right? Okay, and he never explained to this. I can't believe this guy with the Nobel Prize never explained this, right? So this is, can you imagine? This is the central bank balance sheet. Okay, you see this? It is a slope here, almost $3 trillion. Okay, it was less than $1 trillion in 100 years. 100 years were less than $1 trillion. Right? And then in 2008, we doubled. Okay, and then the COVID, we doubled again. This is and notice Fitch, a house in Wall Street that's responsible for rating companies, rating governments. They declassified the United States from AAA to AA, right? Because they don't know this quantitative easy or this printing of money. Well, that has not been affected because they say, well, the United States is bad, other countries are even worse. Okay, other countries are even worse, right? So this and most banks are like this. Here is the savings rate. Okay, where did money people get money to spend during the COVID? All right, this is the savings rate. People get this lots of money in their savings account. So the savings rate went up 35%. Okay, that's where people spend money. Right now, the United States is one of the lowest savings rate in the world. So we have this asymmetric shocks. Okay, so we have increasing higher demand. Okay, so in aggregate demand increase. So in economics 101, we have increasing aggregate demand. The supply curve doesn't shift. This is what forced to shut down. People were not working. You could not work. Okay, but people got money to spend. Okay, people got money to spend, particularly in the United States, and in Western Europe too, and many countries throughout the world. So and here's we have inflation. Okay. So and look at the interest rates that we have. 0% interest rates. Never before in the history. Okay, we have 0% interest rates. And this is not good for the economy. Why? Because 0 interest rates, people don't save. Okay, people don't save. Okay, all we do is invest in the stock market. Stock market is up without any product. And I stop right here. Okay, so thank you very much.